Superman style.
Either way, I gotta go at 6:30. So okay, let's get cracking. We are. Thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate it. Let's get started. We are on page Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, and that is 13A4. Okay, let's begin. The Gemara 13A4. So we just got finished talking about how they would sit in this oil for however long, for 6 months at a time. The oil caused the skin to glow. It caused the hair to kind of fall out. Magnificent, unbelievable. Now the Gemara says as follows: Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan taught that from the genut, from the bad behavior that we're talking about Achashverosh, that look at what he's doing to all these women, we learn something good about him. What do we learn good about him? Lamadnu shivcho shelo haya mishamesh midato bayom, because he would not do his acts of intimacy during the day, because it says ba'erev hi ba'a u'baboker hi shava. She would come in the evening to his to the king and return in the morning. Okay. Now here's just one little interesting tidbit. I always thought this was very beautiful about the Gemara. What the Gemara is really telling us here is something very, very powerful. Here we have this Rasha Mirusha. He's a guy that we said earlier was even worse than Haman, even, right? The guy is super, super horrible guy. And yet the Gemara is telling you that from the embarrassment, from the negative story, we find something positive. Look at how far the Gemara holds. A person has to go to find something positive in a person. Isn't that a magnificent lesson?
Beautiful.
Unbelievable. Okay, let's carry on. Gemara says.
Why is that a positive though?
What? That he didn't do intimacy during the day. So the halakha is, one of the halachot is that the ideal time for intimacy is at night. Why that is numerous reasons. One of the reasons is for tzniut, right? One of the reasons is because the time where there's beracha for intimacy and the procreation of children is at nighttime. A third reason is that the person in the nighttime, he doesn't see the flaws in their partner. Let's say the person is not so handsome or not so beautiful. That at nighttime the person you're not looking, you don't see as much. So therefore the union is more b'simcha. It's more they're loving each other. So that's a third reason. 3 different reasons, but there's obviously more reasons as well based on Kabbalah as well.
Marital misnomer though. He wasn't married to all these people.
That's just a nice way of saying what we're saying. Okay. Says the Gemara. Vati Esther nosa'atchen. And Esther found favor in the eyes of all those who saw her. And we said, Amar Rabbi Elazar, this is where we ended. Every person saw, whatever Edah you were from, you thought, wow, I'm Greek. She has that Greek look. If you were Armenian, you thought she was Armenian. If you were Hasidish, you thought she was Hasidish, okay? Whatever it was, everyone found their own self in it. And I pointed out the Hidush yesterday, or whenever it was, 2 days ago, that what was the Chut Shel Chesed? The Chut Shel Chesed that God strung across her, that made her beloved in everybody, is that she reflected, like we saw that her name was Ishtar, after the moon, she reflected back the positives of each person. What makes a person beloved is when you look at them and you see the best of yourself in them. When someone reflects your positive characteristics, you look at that person and you love them. It's a remarkable lesson in Chesed. Sorry, what do you mean?
If you see the worst parts of yourself in other people that you don't like them?
It's not choosing to do that. It's what that person is reflecting back to you. So yes, if that person is reflecting your fear, your anger, your racism, your whatever back to you, so then it reinforces itself. Okay? Gemara continues, "Vatilakach Esther el hamelech Achashverosh." And Esther was taken to the king Achashverosh, el bet malchuto, to the house of his kingship, in the 10th month, b'chodesh asiri, hu chodesh tevet, in the month of Tevet. The Gemara says, why is the pasuk going so far to teach me exactly what month it is? Anyway, the Gemara answers, Yareach sheneheneh guf min haguf. It is a month in the calendar year where a person's body receives enjoyment from closeness to another person's body. When is that month? That month is the month of Tevet. So just from another place we'll understand this. When do we light our Chanukah candles? What day is Chanukah? Kaf Hei Kislev. So first 5 days of Kislev, 5 days in the month of Kislev, 25 till the end, and the rest of the holiday is in the month of Tevet. Why? Because the month of Tevet is the longest nights of the world, of the year. Okay? So it's the nights with the least sunshine, with the least sunlight during the day. It's the coldest time of the year. Chanukah is always in the dead of winter, right? In those months, which are the coldest nights, so that's the night where someone feels the warmth of a body lying next to them. So the Pasuk says that Esther was taken in that month. What month was it? It was in the month Chodesh Asiri u'Chodesh Tevet, to illustrate that that Achashverosh would feel a connection to Esther in that month. The way I understood this Gemara is that the Gemara is trying to communicate to you. Remember, he's with another girl every night. There must be hundreds or thousands of girls there. She could have fallen on any night. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted Achashverosh to like her, to appreciate her. So he made sure that even on something as simple as the touch of skin, of warmth that is generated, he could have had a fire, the guy's a king. He could have had blankets, the guy's a king over the whole world. But Hashem made sure that Esther's night fell out in the time of the year where he would appreciate the warmth of someone lying next to him. The Gemara continues, and the king loved Esther mikol hanashim, from all the women, and she found favor and kindness in his eyes from all of the bitulot. Bitulot means virgins. Why does it say nashim and why does it say bitulot? Why does it say women and why does it say virgins? Amarav bikesh litom ta'am bitula ta'am. If he wanted to be able to experience a virgin, someone that had never been with someone, ta'am, he had it. If he wanted to have the ta'am of bitula, of be'ula, of someone that already had someone with her already before, he was able to have that experience. Achashverosh wanted to have, he didn't want to be limited at all. He wanted to have every possible pleasure at his disposal. There's an advantage of a betula. There's an advantage that the person it's their first time. There's an experience and excitement over there. But there's also the experience and the excitement of someone that knows what they're doing because they have some experience in being with somebody, intimately. So therefore, each of those things was brought before Achashverosh. The Gemara continues, Vayas HaMelech Mishteh Gadol, and the king made a great party, Mishteh Gadol. This is now Achashverosh's already second Norma Cohen event, right? He's throwing two incredible parties. The first one is 180 days, right? In the first iteration in the beginning of Megillah. Now with the second one, when he finds Esther Malka. The Gemara says, why did he throw that party? Avad mishtaya velo galyale. He made this big party, and still she didn't tell him where he's from. Dale karga velo galyale. He got rid of the taxes. So everyone is, over the moon with Esther. She's now the most popular queen in the whole world because she had a tax amnesty named after her, and still velo galyale. She didn't tell him. Shadar pardishne velo galyale. He sent every important person in the kingdom. They got special gifts from the king, again endearing her to all of the nobles, and still velo galyale. She did not reveal who she was. Now the Gemara continues, and Achashverosh, at this point in the game, he doesn't understand why she's so committed to not saying who she's from. He couldn't care less where she was from. So he doesn't understand why is there such a hang-up for her. But as we already explained in the last class, Esther had been told by Mordechai, if you reveal to him that you're royal, he'll start feeling just like he felt with Vashti, that he's inferior. He'll read into everything that you say, that you think that you're better than him. Anytime you tell him to do something or he did something wrong, that you think you're better than him, and then he'll kill you too. So therefore, she made sure not to reveal at all who she was to him and where she came from. Where do you come from? Where do you go? Was not a song that Esther sang. When they gathered betulot shenit, maidens a second time. The Gemara says, 1 second. You just told me that he already made Esther the queen. What in the world was the point? The Gemara answers, Azil shakal etzami Mordechai. He went to Mordechai and he said, listen, I did all these 3 things already. I lowered the taxes, I sent gifts, I made a party, and still she's not telling me who she is. What can I do to have her tell me who she is and where she's from?
Why Mordechai?
Because Mordechai is already Yoshev B'Sha'ar HaMelech.
So the king knows that Esther and Mordechai are...
He knows that she's from his house. He knows as well that she's his niece. He doesn't either know that she's his, that she's his, how do you call it? His, yeah,
But
exactly.
He knew that she was Jewish then?
No, he knows that she took her in. He doesn't know their relationship.
He's the king.
That's where they took her from.
Yeah.
He's the king. He tell Esther, where you from?
And she refused to tell him.
And he's going to take that?
So far, yes. Good question. Love makes us do crazy things, right? Now, the Gemara says, now, but this is hilarious. Sorry?
And she was green.
And she was green, exactly. Now, I always think this is hilarious. Who does he go to for advice that she should tell him who she is? He goes to Mordechai. Who told her not to say where she's from? Mordechai. So he, unknowingly, ironically, he goes to Mordechai and he's like, what's the deal? How do I get this G to tell me where she's from? Amar, G could also stand for green. Amar, en isha mitkan'a ela b'yerech haverta. You want to get her to tell you where she's from. She's going to only know if she's jealous of someone else. If she sees that you're eyeing someone else's thigh, okay? A nice way of speaking, okay? Then of course she'll be jealous. She'll reveal. Why is Mordechai giving him this advice? He's hoping Achashverosh finds somebody else. At this point in the game, Haman's plot has not yet been revealed. So Mordechai and Esther would do anything to get out of this situation. So Mordechai's like, I have a great idea. Maybe start shooting other G's, right? And then hoping that he'll find someone else. If he finds someone else, he'll get rid of Esther, or Esther won't be important. Now, by the way, if he got rid of Esther, would Esther have been able to leave the palace?
No.
As far as we know, once they're with the king from the other G's, that she goes to the second house of Shashgaz, where she just waits for the king to decide if he wants her again. So what's the benefit? The answer is, every time she's with him is another union, is another time of bi'ah, of intimacy with a goy. It's another story of rape. He's trying to save her. Even if he could save her one extra time, it's worth it.
I must have missed this, but why did Mordechai want Esther to marry Achashverosh in the first place?
He doesn't.
Well, he brought her there.
They didn't bring her there. They came and gathered the girls against your will. And we even said last time that they first gathered the virgin girls, and then they took people's wives. Right? They took, against your will, if your wife was a supermodel, they took her.
Didn't we say that she may have married Mordechai?
So those are the two opinions that we discussed in the Gemara last week.
Right. So how was she a virgin?
So she was either taken, that would be the difference. According to the opinion that she was just taken in, she was taken in the first gathering. According to the opinion that she was married, she would have been taken in the second gathering. Okay? Okay. Gemara says, Va'afilu hachi, and even after all of this, Lo galyale, still she did not reveal to him. Now, this is very funny. Why? Because Mordechai knows, even as he's giving the advice, she's going to get jealous if you find someone else, right? Mordechai knows that the last thing she's going to get is jealous.
Right.
That's not what she wants.
It's a distraction.
Yeah, right. But why is he doing this? Again,
right advice.
because even if she doesn't tell him, maybe he'll ditch her. Because he'll find someone he likes more. Okay? Gemara says, Dichtiv en Esther maged molada. Esther, like the pasuk says, even after this pasuk is written, it says, en Esther maged molada. She did not reveal like Mordechai had told her to do in the beginning. Now the Gemara asks a different question. Rabbi Elazar asked the question, "My dichtiv, what is it that it says? Lo yigra misadik enav." What does it mean that Hakadosh Baruch Hu does not take his eyes off a tzaddik? What does that mean? That he's always watching the tzaddik? What does that mean? B'schar tzniut shayita ba berachel, in the merit of the tzniut. Right? The modesty that Rachel exhibited. Zachtav yatzav mimenu Shaul. Shaul came out from Rachel, and he actually preceded the kings of Yehuda to be the first king of Am Yisrael. King Saul, Shaul HaMelech, was crowned the first king of the Jewish people by Shemuel.
The theme of that is the sort of midah keneged midah reward for modesty.
Correct. It's like we say, if a person runs after honor, honor runs away from him. You run away from honor, honor runs after you. And by the way, Shaul himself, when he's becoming the king, Shemuel says Shaul something unbelievable. He says, "Im katon ata be'enecha," even if you're small in your own eyes, God lifted you to be the head of the Jewish people.
Is that the modesty by the camel?
Sorry?
Rachel's modesty is from where?
So the Gemara leaves it open. It doesn't say which modesty it is. In fact, if you take a look, Rashi says, Zachtav yatzah mena Shaul, right? Rashi just says, Shehaya tzanua. That Shaul was tzanua. And that's why he became the king.
Shaul was also Tzanua.
That's what I said just now, that Shaul made himself small. Shemuel had to tell him, even if you see yourself as small, God lifted you to be the king of the Jewish people. Okay? So, but it doesn't tell us where we find tzniut by Rachel. However, there are a few places where we experience the tzniut of Rachel. One of the places we see tzniut of Rachel is when she gives the simanim to her sister.
Well, so it doesn't necessarily mean modesty, like we would say modest, like covered.
No.
It's an attitude. It's an attitude.
Tzniut is much larger than just covering. No, tzniut it's a humility. Like the pasuk says, "Hatznei alechet im Hashem Elokecha." You should walk modestly with God. It doesn't mean what you're wearing. It means that your modesty comes from your humility when you're humbled by understanding the difference between you and God. I remember seeing the most beautiful line. Humility does not mean that you think you are small. Rather, it comes from the recognition of how small you are vis-a-vis how big the God that gave you those gifts is. Beautiful expression. The Gemara says, "B'schar tzniut shayta ba berachel zachta v'yatza mimenu Shaul, u'b'schar tzniut shaya ba b'Shaul, and in the merit of the tzniut that was in Shaul, zacha v'yatzat mimenu Esther." And Shaul also was rewarded for his tzniut. And what was that? That Esther came out of him. U'may tzniut hayta ba berachel. Now the Gemara is going to ask the question we addressed earlier. So which tzniut do you mean with Rachel? The pasuk says, "Dechtiv v'yagid Yaakov the Rachel ki achi Aviyahu." Yaakov said to Rachel, "I am the father, I am the brother of your father." V'chi achi Aviyahu, was he the brother of Lavan? No. Ve'alo ben achot Aviyahu. He was the son of the brother of the son of the sister of her father. Sorry?
Because nephew and brother are interchangeable. He
Nephew.
was the nephew of Lavan, no?
He was the nephew of Lavan because he was the son of Lavan's sister.
Right.
So he spoke maybe in a euphemism, but it wasn't technically correct. Ela amarla. So why did he say this to her in this way? Ela amarla. He said to her, "Min savali, will you marry me?" That's what he asked her to marry him on their very first interaction when they first saw her the very first time. V'ye'ahav Yaakov et Rachel. Amra le in mihu abba ramahu. She says, "I would happily marry you. I just have a problem. My father is the biggest trickster in the world, and I don't know how I'm ever going to get this. We're never going to get this across the finish line." V'lo yachlet le, huh?
She was 3 or that was someone else?
That was Rivka. No. V'lo yachlet le. There's no way you're going to outsmart my father and take my hand in marriage. Amar la, achi, I'm his brother. Achiv ana beramaut. I'm his equal. I'm his brother in trickery. I can figure out a way to be able to get you no worries. And by the way, does he?
Yeah.
He does not.
No.
Lavan outsmarts him.
Yeah.
Oh, does he
No.
Double
outwit him?
With
sketch.
Leah.
Yeah.
Double sketch. He
Yeah.
moved.
I think what Yaakov was saying is something different. You know what I think Yaakov was saying?
It's his guilty
Because interestingly enough, he says, "I'm his brother in trickery." Does Yaakov act in trickery?
No, I think
Not at all.
No, what about Esav?
That's what Yaakov was saying. He says, when something is mine, it will come to me. If you're supposed to be with me, achiv anochi baramaut, even if he uses whatever trickery he is, I will be right there in the end, in the finish line, and I'm going to get what's coming to me. Little
How
did
do you
he...
get that? How do you get there with those words?
So, in other words, the point of being a ramai, a trickster, is to get a specific desired gain.
Okay.
He says, when I, in the last iteration with Esav was about to get the berachot, he thought he was going to outsmart me by tricking my father into thinking that he was the one that was supposed to get it. In the end, who got the berachot? Me. In fact, I'm only here because achiv ani beramaut.
So you don't think that Yaakov was saying, like, almost like the guilty conscience came on, like, I also...
No, I don't think so. And you know what the proof is? The proof is that Yaakov's response to Lavan's trickery is to be not only 100% honest, but 1,000% honest. He says, I didn't miss a day of work, not the morning, not the night. If anything died, even if it wasn't my fault, I paid out of my pocket.
Deceit with Lavan.
Zero.
I think he was saying something else to Rachel.
Go ahead.
He goes, "Don't worry, I gotcha. We're going to be together no matter what.
So how is that achiv ani beramaut?
Don't worry about your father's deceit. I know how to handle that."
That's exactly what I'm saying. So where he gets to in his trickery, achiv, I'll be right there. Don't worry. What's the funny part?
You didn't expect.
What's the funny part? Yaakov is saying to him, I already learned that Ramaut doesn't work. Because Esav tried Ramaut on my father. What happened? I still got the berachot. Right? Listen to this. Whatever's supposed to come to me, will come to me. In the end, who's right? Does he outsmart Lavan? No. But he's still right. Because what was Yaakov's sentiment, the way we're explaining it? If whatever I'm supposed to get, I'm going to get. Right. Lavan tricks him and gives him Leah, but that's what Yaakov was supposed to get. He was supposed to have Leah and Rachel. So even in the tricking that Lavan tricked him, and we're like, Yaakov, you see, he got the better hand. No, what Yaakov actually said in the first place actually came to bear. Achiv anochi beramaut. Okay, let's continue on. The Gemara says something else. There's one last bit, I chidush in this Gemara. I'll give you a little chidush. We've been throwing chidushim last couple shiurim. The word ramaut means trickery. But the root of the word ramaut, right, is ramai. That's where it comes from. What does ram mean?
Together.
Ram al kol goyim amonai. What does that mean? Ram means to be lifted. Yaakov said, Achiv ani beramaut. However low he goes, I will counteract that by going higher.
Good one. I like that one.
And in the end, if you look at the actual story, that's you see what happens. He tricks. Yaakov gets more honest. Achiv ani beramaut, in the uplifting.
With a pure person you act purely, and with a crooked person you act crookedly. He didn't act crookedly.
No, okay, so we'll explain that now. Let's see the Gemara. The Gemara says, what does that mean? Amrale, she said, are they allowed to act in a crooked way, interpreting his words the way we said before? Amale, he said, yes, im navar titavar. If someone that's being pure, you act purely with them. If someone that's acting this way, you can act crookedly with them. Okay? You know what the problem is? If that's what the Gemara means?
It doesn't make sense in the story.
He doesn't do it. It's not the story.
I'm sorry?
In other words, if
Yaakov doesn't act deceitfully.
Yaakov is saying, if he's deceitful, I'll be deceitful.
Right.
But he's not deceitful.
He's more honest.
So how does it fit?
Did he not think Lavan was deceitful?
So 1 second, hold on a second. Let me explain. When someone's taking a straight road, so you can go a straight road with them because you know that you'll meet them there. When the person takes a crooked road, they're trying to get away from you. They're trying to get away from you. There's two ways a person can zag, okay? Can try and head off in another way. One way is by doing something unexpected and also being a ramai. The other way is by doing something unexpected and being even more of a sadiq. But that's also a deviation from the path. So im ikesh titapal, exactly. It means going in another direction. So he went in another direction, a direction.
Follow him down his crooked path.
Correct, he did not, and that's the proof. Look at the story. He didn't.
But why would you use the words with a crooked person? You act crookedly like that.
You gotta be shrewd.
The Gemara is giving.
But that's not crooked, right?
The Gemara titapal means you turn. So in a literal translation, it means when we go with a crooked person, you take the crooked lane. But the other way of saying it is you take a non-direct path. Okay?
That's a translation problem.
Art Scroll is translating it simply, straightforward. Okay? But you were left with a question, according to the simple translation here, that what he said to Rachel, he didn't do. Okay? Amar la, he said to her, Umayra miyuta. What would you do, right? What do you think he's going to do to trick me? Amrale, itli achta dikshisha mina. He has a sister that's older than me. V'lo mitzvli mikama. He's not going to marry me off before her. Masala simanim. He gave her simanim, signs to be able to identify that she is actually Rachel, and that way, if he tried to pawn off someone else, then she would know, he would know, and it would not. He would not fall for it.
Who came up with that plan, Yaakov or Rachel?
Rachel tells him what he's going to do. Yaakov says, "Here's the signs." Okay. By the way, even over here. Is what he's doing crooked? No.
It's veering.
It's veering. No one has to make up signs with their wife. So you're doing something unexpected, but not crooked.
Didn't she do something wrong?
We'll see in a minute. Kimata Lelia, when the night comes.
I know we all know the story.
Kimata Lelia, when the nighttime came, Amra, what happens? He switches Leah for Rachel. Amra hashta michsefa achtai. Now my daughter is going to be embarrassed. She gave the signs to Leah, and Leah was able to use the signs when Yaakov tested her. He gave her the rain in Spain is, what does it go? It falls mainly on the plain, right? And she was able to say, on the plain. V'hiba boker, like the pasuk says, behold in the morning, v'hinehi le'ah, and behold it was le'ah, meaning michlal dar hashta, that until that point, lav le'ahi, he understood that it was not le'ah, right? Mitoch simanim shemasra Rachel le'ah, because of the sign she gave over, lo haviyada ad hashta. Yaakov did not know that this was her until the morning light, until he was able to see her. Lefikach zachta, therefore she merited v'yatzav mena Shaul. Shaul came from her. Now, where do we see modesty in this action?
Like not embarrassing her sister.
Right, so it's interesting. We're using the word modesty here in a non-conventional term. Modest means that I'm not putting myself first. I'm not arrogant. I'm not the center of attention. Rachel was unable to allow for this marriage to go ahead with the character assassination, the public humiliation of Leah. Chachamim ask, how did Rachel do this? How did Rachel do this, Morris?
How did Rachel do what?
How was she allowed to give the simanim?
How was she
Yaakov
allowed?
gave the simanim to her for the sake of not marrying Leah.
Not
She didn't tell anyone
embarrassing her
after.
sister.
No, but how is she allowed to do it? She made up a thing with her husband. This is what I'm going to say. You're going to answer back. That's how I'll know it's you. She now tells Leah. Leah gives the siman. Now Yaakov is married to Leah instead of Rachel.
She still doesn't say
How is she allowed to give the simanim?
She shouldn't have. She felt bad for her.
Oh, interesting. So Avi is saying maybe it was hatzalat nefesh, pikuach nefesh.
What?
It was pikuach nefesh. It's like saving a person's life. Imagine this girl on the chuppah at the wedding night. The whole town is there. And Yaakov asked her the question. She can't give the answer. She's humiliated. Public humiliation, Gemara says, is the same as dying. And in a scenario where you're going to publicly humiliate someone, mutav, better you should throw yourself in a furnace of fire. We learned in Masechet Ta'anit, that in that case, you have to throw yourself in a furnace of fire. So Rachel understood that she could not do this, not for herself and not for Yaakov.
Is there context for understanding the wedding? Because I'm having a hard time understanding. Like, I can't see that.
No, because she was completely covered.
What does that mean?
That means she was wearing a veil that you could not see. And that's the sign. That's the sign that they say why we do the minhag now to commemorate that. So let's just finish the line. So what was the modesty that we find in Shaul? Because it says "Ve'devar hamelucha lo higid lo." When it came to the matters of the kingdom that Shmuel was talking about, he didn't say anything. Esther. Esther came out of him for that. Now Shaul, right? Asked what's it called? In the time when Shaul went wandering and he was looking for the donkeys and Shmuel came and he asked him, where'd you go? And Shaul didn't want to have to tell him about the fact that he was going to be the king because he didn't want to play himself up. So Shaul also had the modesty of his great-grandmother Rachel through Binyamin to be able to not act in an arrogant way. We'll talk a little bit more about this salacious story next week at the class on Thursday.